Hey everybody, Brittany Harlow with Verified News Network, VNN, here for another episode of VNN Live here, home studios out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new to VNN, welcome. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing here and being embraced into our Verified News community. We are essentially a social news media company that strives to do news differently. And that means providing more diverse news coverage, serving underrepresented communities, but really also just having a variety of news that people can depend on all in one place. That is our free app. That's how you access it online. You can download it or you can just visit it at the website. It's app.verifiednews.network. I'd love to kick this off, inviting you to be a part of our conversation here. VNN Live, verifiednews.network is where you can reach us on all of our different channels. They're listed there for you. You just hit that get involved button. But if you want to get involved right now with what we're doing, drop us a message in the chat, or you can also email me, bharlow@verifiednews.network. I'm going to be monitoring, as always, to see if any comments, concerns, points in conversation are being sent to me in any way. And that way we can have more community involvement, because that's really what we're all about here at VNN, is kind of opening the doors and really tearing the doors down, I would say, between the community and the news producers, consumers, producers, just kind of really getting rid of that separation, because news and information to us is all about working together to help people and serve our communities and be served. So the more that you can engage with us and tell us if you like what we're doing, if you don't like what we're doing, how we could be better, or just general feelings of support are always very much appreciated. That's how you get a hold of us here. So this week in the app, again, this is what I kind of opened with, is our social news media app here. You can, again, find it on the website at app.verifiednews.network, or just go to verifiednews.network and hit take me to the news feed. It'll open up there. You can create an account if you want to be really engaged with what we're doing. That allows you to personalize a profile, comment on news stories, upload your own content, like content, flag content if you don't think it's appropriate, through our community flagging system. But this is what the app looks like this week. A couple stories out of Oklahoma, where we're headquartered, story out of Michigan. We have our Promised Land series that's also out of Oklahoma. That is a series, collaborative project from the Oklahoma Media Center, of which VNN is a collaborative partner in. And then we have one of the most recent stories from our news affiliate, The Frontier. And so that's a good one to check out. And we're always constantly updating this throughout the week with news and information, and oftentimes stories that you won't see anywhere else. And so one of our stories that I want to talk about today is really just a big project that is like a 3-month-long project, ironically enough, funded through NAJA, Native American Journalists Association, through the OMC, the Oklahoma Media Center that I had mentioned before, gave us this really great stipend to do coverage that's needed in the state. And so we turned around and created the Fate series at VNN. And I initially was going to go about it myself because I'm a real go-getter, in case you don't know me yet. But we managed to convince another collaborative partner through the OMC, Big If True, out of Oklahoma City, to partner with us, and essentially doubled our impact and our coverage. And so we had our first event over the weekend, and it was our first in-person learning series event. And so essentially, what we're doing is creating avenues for conversation, for community resources to be more publicly grow some awareness around that, make sure that they're available in more places. And so we have our website up on our webpage up on our website that you just go, again, verifiednews.network. You can hit up the news and events tab and then click on the Fate series. It's the top uh, content block under news and events. And as I said, we had our first event in Tulsa this past weekend. It was really great. We have another one coming up in Okmulgee. I know that's going to be also great, but very different. Get you a couple photos from our Tulsa event. That is me talking with some really great people at She Brews Coffee House. She Brews was so excellent. Rhonda Bear, founder, owner of She Brews Coffee Houses. I'm going to be doing a story about her and some great learning and information that I got from her about entrepreneurship and overcoming adversity. It's going to be posted on our website soon. But I'm going to be updating this page that I told you about all through August with learning, and not only learning, which I'm really excited about, through like community events such as the one that we had in Tulsa. But one of the greatest things about partnering with Molly Bryant, who is the director of Big If True, was how much more like our coverage is able to expand through context. And so I'm going to be doing the news gathering, information gathering from these events, these in-person events. Like we spoke with community members, entrepreneurs that have overcome adversity, different organizations that have community resources, and of course, different journalists who are involved in this effort to put together all of this learning for not just for our audience, our viewers, our verified news community, but really anyone in Oklahoma and possibly beyond who wants to know how people overcome adversity to become entrepreneurs and what barriers are still standing in the way, and honestly, what benefits there are to people overcoming adversity, such as substance use disorder, poverty, domestically violent relationships, and then going into entrepreneurship and what kind of opportunities those grow for other people coming from similar backgrounds. And so that is kind of the premise of what we're exploring with this learning series. But Molly is awesome in the sense that she is putting together these context stories, because that's a big thing for us at Verified News Network, is to provide context. Because I come from a traditional news background where we kind of just spin really quick stories every single day. And I found that even though there were different people in those stories and different like faces, the stories are really all the same, what we're watching over and over, especially relating to the crime stories. Like, they're wild and wacky and sad, but it's like a lot of the same over and over. Bad guy does something dumb or dangerous, and good person comes and arrests them. And, people nearby were shocked. And so that is pretty much like copy and paste crime reporting in, traditional mainstream news. But for me, I know, and a lot of people know that watch the news, and those who don't know that there's a lot of context behind that and behind those stories, and so many complicated, complex situations and just facts of life in our society that feed into why people commit crime, how people end up on the news with those crazy headlines. And I'm really excited to be able to bring you with Big If True as part of this learning series context, with a lot of different of those processes and those complex context that's missing. And so the first one was recently published by Molly, Big If True, which is another great win through that partnership and that much needed coverage, was that it highlighted the April Wilkins case. And so if you haven't checked it out, it's actually up there on our website. This website does not let me interact and really oh, hey, I lied, it does. Wow, that is the first time that ever worked for me. I wonder if it is going to let me click on this story. No, too good to be true. That could be a glitch. I'm going to go ahead and update that. But our first story actually highlighted April Wilkins and essentially the issues with Oklahoma's criminal justice system, but particularly when dealing with women. And so this is a story that and a concept and coverage area that we've explored before, but Molly just absolutely knocked it out of the park with how in depth she got with different subject areas and different problems, because it's not just like one issue, with in April Wilkins' case, like battered women syndrome, or that women don't get a lot of help as much as they definitely could use when, getting out of abusive relationships and the mental ailments and problems that those abusive relationships cause, but also, the failure to protect in Oklahoma, where women are punished more harshly for when bad things happen to their kids than oftentimes the men who actually commit the abuse. Women are punished more than them. And then some intervention and resources that women are receiving that was shocking to me, out of this millions of dollars that the state is saving with these programs that help women stay out of prison, in addition to, of course, how important that is for the women themselves. But really, I feel like when we're talking about politics and change, dollar signs are the things that people care about the most. So that's definitely a thing. Now that I can scroll, I would love to introduce you to our surveys that you can take. Once again, you just go to our website, verifiednews.network, click on News and Events, and then you go to our Fate series where it says, learn more about it. So this is a general community survey, because we would love to learn what you think and feel about people who are facing adversity, and what you think could help that, or why do you think that happens, or just some kind of community perspective that we're looking for in that one. And then our other survey is for people who are addicted to substances and want to enter entrepreneurship, or people who are currently entrepreneurs that come from substance use disorder, who have overcome that, or are still struggling and working with entrepreneurship. Because again, the whole theme of what we're doing is trying to learn a lot more about how people can overcome adversity and enter into entrepreneurship or small business ownership, working for themselves, and why that's such a great avenue for people who come from adverse backgrounds. So there's a lot of cool things that we've learned so far, and I'm so excited to do our next event, this was our Tulsa event, of course, and we had a Facebook event page for that. And then here is our next one in Okmulgee. It is on July 16th, so you can click on that and find it, and go ahead and attend that. It's from noon to 2 p.m. Saturday, July 16th. Huge thank you to our partners while I'm here. So many of them. I'm just like blown away by the community support that has been had so far for what we're doing. But of course, any questions that you have about this series, hit me up on Facebook, on uh, email. I'm very engaged and plugged into the community, and I'm just here to help people. And that's why I am a journalist, and I love helping people. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this great event with so much community support and so many people getting on board, and all of the learning. And you can come to Okmulgee again on July 16th, and I'll be talking even more about how important this is to us and why it's personally important to me. And that just speaking with so many people who, I am a news entrepreneur, obviously through VNN, doing news differently. And so I really enjoy meeting with people and talking with people about entrepreneurship, which I'm just so passionate about. And even people like Rhonda Bear, who have been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and the community impact and the lives that she's touched through She Brews coffee houses and her ministry work is just I can't wait to share that story soon. That was she talked with me for a while about entrepreneurship and how hard it was, even for her, with it's just like such a crazy success. And that's what you see front and center a lot of times uh, through entrepreneurship and these small business ownership is just, um, you know, what a success things are and how great they are. And you don't necessarily see how hard it is behind the scenes or how long it took to get to be a success. She said that she's been doing this for, I believe, 8 years, She Brews, and it's just now becoming a success. And a lot of the times she wanted to give up. Um, and she had told me when I interviewed her that she was honestly praying for ways to, shut the doors and, close She Brews down. But, God would repeatedly step in and say, nope, that's not the plan. The plan is to stay open. And so people would come forward and help her and volunteer and give her like these great opportunities because that is what she's supposed to be doing. And she's just helping so many women. In case you're unfamiliar with She Brews, it is a chain of coffee houses in Oklahoma that employs justice-involved women. So it helps them get a job out of prison, and her ministries that she works with, provide housing and kind of life skills and all of these resources for women. But you see what a success organizations and companies like hers are, and it's really hard to believe until you talk with someone like her, or really anyone that is just like it's always hard work. It's never like super easy. It's never without struggle. It's never without feeling like you want to give up. And that is one of the things that I've learned and that I try to tell people about entrepreneurship is that the success is just not quitting. Like if you're keeping on going, if you're putting one foot in front of the other, if you're taking baby steps, if you haven't given up on what you're doing, then that is the real success. So like, yeah, obviously it's great to make a lot of money and, not have to worry so much about paying your company's bills. But that, only comes after many years of hard work. And so that is the truth of it. But if you can do what you love and be your own boss, then like what I do with Verified News Network and what I help other journalists do, being their own news boss, then I definitely think that is worth it, even when I feel like throwing in the towel myself. But again, I want to talk more about this Okmulgee event and why it's honestly gonna be a lot different than Tulsa. You saw that, it was a very, I want to say, kind of smaller group of people. It was very diverse. The conversation was amazing. But we were just kind of talking about problems and resources and personal experiences. And it was just such a great heartfelt, deep conversation on so many levels. So again, I can't thank our participants enough. And we'll be sharing their resources and their information more in depth in the weeks to come. But Tulsa is full of resources for entrepreneurship. And, it does not lack in resources for people to start a business, to, overcome substance use disorder. And there's just a lot of opportunity and resources for people who uh, are committed to changing. And again, part of that is awareness. And what we're doing is making those resources and reminding people that they're there and how they would utilize them, not just to get clean or get sober, but to how to have a passionate career and something to a purpose other than whatever they're maybe addicted to. Um, but this event that we're having in Okmulgee, I'll throw it up on the screen there. I just didn't want you to be staring at that the whole time and wondering why I'm talking about something else and showing a thing about Okmulgee. But this event in Okmulgee is going to be different because this area is rural and it does not have as many resources for entrepreneurship. And in fact, in all of Okmulgee County, I have not been able to find one co-working space. And so we're meeting with community leaders, we're meeting with members of the community that need help during this event, again, Saturday, July 16th, about what is there for people who want to get into entrepreneurship, who want to turn their lives around, what's preventing them, and like what the resources are missing that they still need. Because there is, again, I have not been able to find one co-working space definitely not in Okmulgee, but really Okmulgee County in general. I've called around to a lot of different places, but we are partnering with a lot of cool organizations down there. I'll tell you all about them on our Facebook page, so make sure to go ahead and add yourself if you're in Okmulgee County and you want to be a part of that conversation. It's going to be a lot bigger, I think, just because it's not as full of resources specifically for entrepreneurship like some place like Tulsa is. But again, those and something that was really interesting that came up in the Tulsa conversation was, all these resources are here, but it's very hard. Like if you're, obviously if you're living in a bad place or in a bad way out in the county somewhere, just move to Tulsa because there are a lot of resources for people to start over and to turn their lives around. But a lot of the times that's where people's families are. They may have children. They can't really up and move everybody to Tulsa. And so those areas, those rural communities really need more resources or just getting access to some of the other resources that exist. And I really feel like, especially in areas that are more rural, that have a larger majority of the population that have fallen into illegal drug addiction or other problems that maybe aren't where their needs aren't being met as well. Small business ownership and entrepreneurship really are can be game changers for members of those communities, I really feel. And so we're going to see if other people agree. We found some people that agree, see if other people agree. And if they don't agree, we want to know that too. But really, we want to find out what these barriers are, and we want to find out what the resources are, and then we want to put them in the hands of people who can do more about it. And so that's a big part of what we do. We raise awareness, and then it's pretty much up to others to join up, take the torch, and do something about it because, again, it's working with our communities that is what gets things done. And so we're really just kind of taking the first steps for everybody as far as, revitalizing efforts that maybe have existed in the past to spur entrepreneurship. But even if we just plant the idea in one or two minds and it sparks off for something that's really great for that community, then I would say that that is a great community impact that we have through our news and information. So that's all I had to say about fate. Again, I'm going to go ahead and scroll to this website because I'm so excited that it scrolls. I've tried to scroll on other websites, and honestly, maybe it's just our website of Verified News. It's so cool that it just loves this broadcasting system. But yeah, if you click on it, the website, sign up for our Okmulgee event, and then this is the website. Context is, again, our contextual reporting is going to be stacked right here. We have 2 more stories coming up. I'm super excited to share them with you because I know they're going to be great at a Big If True. And then, of course, this site is going to be updated with a lot of resources, community resources for both Tulsa area, Tulsa County, and Okmulgee area, Okmulgee County. Of course, as always, reach out to me, Verified News community. I'm here for you, as are all of our journalists here and affiliates, and just the Verified News community is a great welcoming place to be, where we care about good news and information, and just making more responsible news media that people can depend on. And so my last ask for you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our free news and updates. Just go to that website that I've said about 50 million times now, verifiednews.network. Sign up through email. You'll get news, information. I'm really excited for everything that's going to be going on here. There's just some really cool things that are happening in the Verified News community, and I can't wait to share them all with you. And of course, this big Fate event is a big one. And so please weigh in on that. We'd love to hear your feedback and, of course, take some of those surveys. Next week, I'm going to be talking more about April Wilkins. I touched on her case a little bit tonight. You can search her name in the app. Until then, if you need to catch up and learn more about who she is, but there's some really great news coming out about April Wilkins. So I'm excited to be able to share that with you guys, and how we're going to be promoting more coverage of that case here in Oklahoma, and what a local group is doing to really, do more for her coverage and her case than anyone has ever done. So I'm really excited to be able to share that with you next week. And in the meantime, don't forget to reach out. Don't be a stranger, Verified News community. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.